Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing good today and ready for our class today. Today, I'm going to review a little bit of note taking and give you some detailed instruction on how or detailed tips on how to do note taking. Now, let me remind you again from last week. Why do we need to do note taking? Well, first of all, note taking helps us retain information from our source. In our case, from the people we interview. So if we don't retain these details, it will be gone by the end of the conversation most of the time. Also, it helps you see these details in perspective, especially later on after the interview is done and you look at your note again and see what you have heard or what you have found from the source. And then in addition to that, it also helps you, most importantly, overcome problems related to multitasking. What does it mean? So when we listen to somebody, we are actually multitasking. First, we listen to the information so we can capture the information. The second one, we also actually are retaining the information. Sometimes we cannot do both. So at the end of the conversation, we will lose the details. And note taking is a way to overcome that. Okay, now let us go to more details on what we can do while we do note taking. As I mentioned to you last week, in general, when we do note taking, we try to find the 5 W's and 1 H. And also for chronology, we can use 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on to show the chronology of the events. And it's important for you to find out good or shocking or surprising quotes from the person you're interviewing. The purpose is for you to use it later on as something that you can write in your text if you use the interview as a source. And also find interesting details from the conversation. That's going to be your takeaway from this source. Now, let us go into more details on note-taking. Those were general things that you can take notes of. But now we will go to more details on, first of all, the type of essay or a presentation that we usually listen to. There are so many types of essays and presentation, but the ones that are common in spoken presentation are this: narrative. Second one is exemplification, and the last one is argumentative. What I mean by narrative here is a presentation that tells about how something happens or the process of certain incidents or phenomenon. For example, you want to tell about how you eventually decided to study at Universitas Madjong. That's a narrative presentation. You told about the first time you heard about Universitas Madjong, and then you told about how your parents actually agreed to your desire, and so on and so forth. So that's narrative. The second one is exemplification. Exemplification means, exemplifying things. However, in reality, it's not only about showing the examples of some things. Like there are beautiful beaches in South Malang. The first one is Kondang Merak. The second one is Pantai Teluk Asmara, and so on. And the third one is maybe Pantai Tiga Warna. That's a common exemplification. However, there are also other types of exemplification, such as, for example, I want to give you 5 tips on how to survive college. The first tip is to make friends. The second one is to find an activity, and so on. So these are actually tips, right? But they are instances or examples of things. So they are part of exemplification. The third one is, argumentative, in which you propose something and then you support that something or that claim with your evidence, and so on. Usually this is the common one that we do in a debate speech. So these are the three very common things that I want you to use. Now let us go to each of the three types of presentation or speeches. For a narrative speech, what do you need to take notes of? First, find the 5W and 1H, and then you find the events, and lastly, you find the chronology. So when you take notes, don't forget to list the events, and then you also list the chronology, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Next, we will go to the second type of essay, which is exemplification. In exemplification, you need to take notes of these elements. First one, the main point, or the main, the main idea of this whole speech. For example, I mentioned to you earlier that you can make an exemplification speech on the 5 beautiful beaches in South Malang. So the main point here is 5 beautiful beaches in South Malang, or you can call it the subject. Then you list the examples that the speaker gives you. After giving the example, you then give brief explanations of each of the example, for each of the example. So these are actually what you need to take notes of. You don't have to say every single thing that the narrator or the speaker says. But of course, if you find interesting or shocking quotes, you can use it. Or if you find, interesting details, you can also use it in your notes. Lastly, let's go to argumentative. In argumentative presentation, it's pretty much like what you are now doing in your inferential reading class. In your inferential reading class, you know that an argument needs to have at least 3 elements. First one is the claim. The second one is the support or evidence. And the last one is the explanation. This is exactly what you are also taking notes of when you are writing, or when you try to take notes of an argumentative speech. You find argumentative speeches in, for example, in political campaigns, or in presentations of people who want to make you believe in one thing or another. Basically campaigns, social campaigns or political campaigns, or even commercial campaigns like in advertisements. So these are what you need to take notes of, guys. I want you now to practice this note-taking in our activity of the day. I will give you more detailed instructions on how to do the class today. See you, everyone. Bye.